Very good. It's 1 o'clock, so we will begin the Tax-Exempt Review Committee meeting for December 22nd. We have 2 items on the agenda. We have several members that are joining us online, and so if you have any questions, please raise your hand. And we do have a quorum. So with that, we'll start off with agenda item number 1, approve Tax-Exempt Review Committee meetings of 10/27/20. And if anybody has any changes or corrections or any comments, otherwise we will accept a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And number 2 is a new industry application by Midway Metals LLC, and Jim Gilmore will start us off. Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an application for Midway Metals for a 5-year property tax exemption. This would be a startup in town. It's an existing company. They'd be expanding into Fargo manufacturing here. The application, there was a couple of score sheets in there. The one that had review was just assuming 2 jobs in the first year. They're looking at expanding up to 9 jobs in year 3, and so clearly by year 3 they'd qualify. However, they did make an error, and there was actually going to be more jobs. Initially, they'll start at 5 because they have 3 people that are with the company now who would be relocating to Fargo, and so we would consider those new jobs. Ryan Osheim here is here from the Greater Fargo-Moorhead EDC. He's been working with the company, getting them to locate here. So I'll let Ryan introduce the project, and then I believe we have the business owner online, and he'd be available for questions. Ryan.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, so this company is one that I started working with several months ago. They are essentially a gutter technology company, so they've got several patents for a new gutter system, really designed for northern tier climates, keeps leaves and ice and other things out of the system, doesn't clog up, less maintenance. And their really big target markets are Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and southern tier of Canada. So northern tier climates is really kind of their specialty, and the markets that this product is designed for. Logistically and strategically, they like Fargo rather than locating in the Twin Cities because of some the business-friendly environment and some other logistics advantages that the community offers to them. So in that process and kind of working with them, we identified some resources to help them preserve capital and reinvest back in the company. That was one of those was the property tax incentive program. Like Jim mentioned, they're in the application, you'll see they have 3 positions identified, or 2 positions identified at $20 an hour, between $20 and $28 an hour. After talking with Eric Bachman, the founder, who I think is on the call today, I confirmed with him that 3 more positions as part of that 5 will be relocating here. Eric Bachman himself and 2 other employees of the company. So they're going to be doing some light manufacturing assembly in this new facility in South Fargo. It's kind of by the Thunder Road area back there. There's some warehouse shop space, and so they're purchasing a building there that they'll be doing this initial kind of phase of operation from. There's obviously growth and expansion in kind of their future plan. So we're kind of excited about having this kind of new product. They work with companies like ABC, Seamless, and Western Products. So those are reseller partners of theirs, and happy to answer any questions you have about the company or turn it over to Eric if he's on the line.
And Jim, before we do that, if you don't mind, can you just talk a little bit on page 9 and 10 of our booklet where you have the 2 calculations, and usually 100 points is kind of what we consider a good score. Can you talk a little bit about there was 2 different numbers there and how there might be some adjustments to that?
Yeah, The one where it says the recommendation or review where they received 96 points, that's if only 2 jobs were created. And then the one where it's over 106 is where there's 9 jobs created. And we're still in the process of trying to update this scoring criteria. And so I think if we add in the other 3 jobs and that first year, that's the initial year, they'd be meeting that criteria. Seems like with most of these businesses, it's really 3 years out is when you're going to have a good idea of what company is going to be successful. Rarely can a company just kind of come in and create all the jobs in that first year. There's usually anywhere from a 3 to a 5 year ramp up.
And if I could just add, so in this first year, it's going to be kind of building up momentum and gaining speed. They won't be doing a lot of manufacturing this first year. A big part of it's going to be kind of that market building. Spring is a really critical time as they go out and meet with resellers and with contractors that will be doing a lot of the gutter work in the spring and summer. So that will be a lot of their work kind of in the coming months. We'll be building that market and getting their product and sales in the pipeline for production later this year and into next year.
So if there's any comments, otherwise, and if we could have the gentleman up there on the line representing the company, if you have any comments that you want to make, otherwise we would have questions as well.
Sure. Well, I'm here and ready, and thank you for hosting us today. And Jim and Ryan, I really appreciate the introduction. I guess I can give the 30,000-foot view of things, and I'm happy to answer any questions. The general view is, as Ryan and Jim both said, our market is the rain gutter industry in the United States and Canada. Fargo is an excellent location for multiple reasons: the workforce, the state economic and business climate, the highly educated North Dakota populace, and really the North Dakota's commitment to manufacturing and high skill manufacturing at that is very enticing. We look forward to locating there. It's also centrally located in the United States, and it's right next door to the interior of Canada, which would be a focus market for us, as well as the Twin Cities. So we're really excited, and with that being said, we ship nationally and intend to ship internationally. We'd be focused on bringing high-skilled jobs to Fargo. We are ramping up. It is a work in progress. Anytime you start something that has all this equipment and setup processes, but within about a year, we should be fully ready to go and fully ramped up in Fargo. And we really want to bring great jobs and are committed to staying there long term.
Very good. Thank you very much. Is there anybody that has any questions? I guess getting back to that number, and this is for the representative. So right now you're at 3 employees. Are you saying that number could be increased, or is that within 3 years?
Well, I think there's part of the confusion here, and I take responsibility for that, and I apologize, is I think there was maybe an error in the nomenclature. So because this is a startup right now, technically these would, upon relocation to Fargo, we would be bringing 3 new jobs to Fargo immediately, with the goal to be at 5 total jobs by the end of 2021, if that clears it up.
That's good. I appreciate that. And so are there any other questions from anybody either online or with us?
Chair, this is Kent. I had a question with regard to the application, page 2. The calculation of the exemption is not listed on the paperwork. I'm just wondering if somebody might comment on that. In the evaluator, it appears as though it's about a $42,000 tax exemption if you follow the worksheets. But I'm just curious why it wasn't filled out on the application. In box 16.
I think we can do is look up the value of that existing building. I know we're trying to get this in right before it needed to go out, and so we just didn't have that information. Ryan and I have been helping him get this application filled out.
Okay, so then just for the record, if you were to look at the exemption calculator, then I'm to assume that Mr. Splonskowski filled in the value and calculated the value of the exemption at about $42,000 gross. If that's part of the record, I think I'm just fine with that. I just want to know the size of the exemption we're talking about because it's not clearly communicated on the paperwork.
Mike's got his calculator out here just in a second.
Cosgrove should be able to give that to us. So, John, don't you have that?
Well, I think it's about 42,635 if I do the math, but I thought it seemed odd that it wasn't part of the paperwork. That's all, my only comment. Says estimated annual real estate taxes $8,527 a year times 5 would be about 42,600. So if Mike did the math already, I think that's the answer, but I'm looking for some affirmation.
So you're saying the entire over the 5-year period.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's on your calculator paperwork already.
I'm just doing a quick one here. Given today's mill levy. I'm coming up with about $27,000 over the 5-year amount. So I'm not sure which numbers you're calculating.
Well, I was referring to page 9 and 10 where you accumulated points. Down on the bottom, it says estimated annual real estate tax, $8,527. So I'm assuming you take that times 5, and that would be the exemption amount.
The difference there, Kent, might be the land.
Okay, yeah, that could be. That could be.
Good catch.
And I don't mean to delay the decision. I just thought the paperwork should be done properly.
So you're saying the property value, the last line there, on the exemption of evaluation property value, number of jobs, or which are the? Oh, okay. Estimated annual real estate tax.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. To be honest, I would have to look at that calculation because I'm not sure which number it's using right now. I may not have updated the mill levies to be correct. So at this moment, I can't vouch for that number. When I do the calculations live with my calculator itself, that number is not correct.
I guess from my perspective, it seems like we have a lot of numbers that aren't exactly precise in this application through no fault of the applicant. And I just think we need to refine this before it goes on to the city commission. I guess that's my opinion. It seems like we've got, it's a good company. It's a reasonable request, but we are not being as accurate as we should be. Yes,
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Chairman, and I stopped by and chatted with Jim before the meeting a little bit. These exemption calculators, you know, the projection for year 1, 2 jobs versus 5 makes all the difference in the world. 5 puts it over 100, which is kind of our litmus test. So I'd like to see that fixed as well.
Do we have any comments from anybody else on the committee? I guess from my perspective, this isn't quite complete yet. And so for us to take action on it, I personally am not really that comfortable. Go ahead.
No.
I'm just looking up online. The value of this particular building is $280,000, excluding the land, and so what 1.39% of that, or a little less in the West Fargo School District.
So once again, being the chair, I'm not comfortable doing this on the fly, where we have people with calculators doing stuff during the meeting. And so I think it's a great request, but I think at this point, we have, and I believe it's our responsibility to have all these numbers done before we pass it on to the city commission. So I don't know if anybody has any action they'd recommend, but to me, I would continue this just because I don't think it's complete. That's just my 2 cents.
This is
Mr.
Jessica.
Chairman?
I move to approve that we defer the application until all documents are updated appropriately.
And I guess my question is for the applicant, is this going to cause any challenges to your timeline if we don't take action on this immediately? Because obviously we don't want to jeopardize your project. We think it's a good thing, but from our perspective, you got to have things in a row before we pass it on.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I understand. This might not be the best news imaginable based on our timeline, but we can try to certainly massage it in with the owner of the proposed building. We haven't signed any purchase paperwork, and I think he's trying to complete the sale sooner rather than later, but I will do my best to update his realtor and explain what happened today.
So are there any comments from anybody online or Jim, or go ahead, Jim?
Maybe just one other comment. I mean, we can still go ahead and advertise this for the city commission hearing as soon as possible. That'll probably be at least a month out, and so that might be after your January meeting anyway. So we can hopefully get to the finish line about the same time. And then if needed, I guess it'll be up to you, Mr. Chairman, if you want to call a special meeting or not.
So my perspective is we should take action on it first before it goes to the city commission. That just doesn't, otherwise.
We wouldn't go to the city commission. We'd have to advertise for the hearing, give like 30 days notice of the meeting.
Any other comments from anybody on the commission, or do we need a
Mr.
motion?
Chairman?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think we see the validity and the merit to the application. We can get the numbers figured out. I'd certainly be willing to have a quick meeting to approve it. And I think what Mr. Gilmore is suggesting is to go ahead and advertise it for the 30 days prior to the commission meeting. And if we don't have it in there, you can certainly pull it from the agenda. But,
So I guess my question is, do we have a consensus that that's with our committee that's all right? Because I think is that acceptable? And I don't know if we need a motion then, Jim?
Yeah,
Or?
we typically do that with a lot of applications where it seems like it's going to score well just to keep it on schedule. And then if it gets to this, if there's a recommendation of denial, it can either get pulled or delayed or denied.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Jessica made the motion and I will provide the second.
Very good.
What was the motion?
Jessica, would you mind repeating your motion? So go ahead.
Yeah, the motion was to defer the approval until all documents could be updated appropriately to make a decision.
Okay, that's the motion, and we have a second by Bruce. Mayor, did you have a comment?
Well, Mike and Jim, you should be able to get these documents updated in 48 hours, right? I mean, it's just a calculation, or is there something I'm missing?
No, it's plugging in the building value that I just mentioned and the mill levy and Mike updated.
So if we have this all in order, we could probably even vote on this next week if we wanted, Dave, right? Yeah, okay.
Any other comments? Otherwise, I think we have a motion and a second. We're ready to go. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And that is all the items on our agenda. So thank you very much. Merry Christmas, everyone. We are adjourned.